Hello, second grade scientists. This video is to help you review before your air and weather assessment. Let's go through the slides and do our best to remember what we learned in our air and weather science unit. In lesson 1, we learned about gravity. I can describe how things near Earth fall to the ground unless something holds them up. I can understand that air is all around us and can affect things that fall. Gravity is the force that pulls on every object on Earth. A force is a push or pull on an object. Earth's gravity pulls an object downward with a certain amount of force. This amount of force is called weight. Earth's gravity pulls you back to the ground when you jump into the air. If there were no gravity, you would fly into space. The sun's powerful gravity keeps Earth in orbit around it. In conclusion, gravity is a force that pulls things to Earth. All things will be pulled down to Earth by gravity unless they are held up by something. If something does fall, air will push against it and sometimes force it to slow down. Our second lesson was exploring air underwater. I can understand that air takes up space. I can explain what air does underwater. What we know. 1. Air is a matter. It is something that is always there, surrounding us at all times. 2. Air takes up space. You can see it taking up space when you blow up a balloon. 3. Air pushes and moves things. You can see it push against a paper as it drifts to the floor, or see it push against the inside of a balloon as it blows up. 4. You can feel air. Move your hand back and forth. What did we learn? Air takes up space and pushes things. The paper towel stayed dry because air was taking up the space in the cup. It was pushing against the water, preventing it from coming in. Also, when you tip over the cup underwater, you pour out the air. It rises as bubbles because air is lighter than water. Water then moves in to replace the space in the cup that the air left behind. We also learned about weather. We learned to describe what the weather is like. What is weather? Weather is the daily state of the atmosphere or air in any given place. We also learned about meteorology. It is the science of weather. Meteorologists study weather and try to predict it. We also learned how to read a thermometer. A thermometer is the instrument used to tell the air temperature. Temperature is how cold or hot something is. A thermometer is usually made up of a small, hollow glass tube. We learned to tell the temperature on a thermometer. The temperature on this thermometer is showing that it's 65 degrees. We learned a little something about clouds, too. We learned to identify different types. We also learned that clouds are made up of tiny water droplets or ice crystals, usually a mixture of both. The water and ice scatter all light, making clouds appear white. There are 4 main types of clouds: cumulus, stratus, cirrus, and cumulonimbus. Cumulus clouds are the puffy clouds that look like puffs of cotton. Cumulus clouds that do not get very tall are indicators of fair weather. If they do grow tall, they can turn into thunderstorms. The bottom of cumulus clouds are fairly close to the ground. Stratus clouds look like flat sheets of clouds. These clouds can mean an overcast day or steady rain. They may stay in one place for several days. Cirrus clouds are high, feathery clouds. They are up so high they are actually made of ice particles. They are indicators of fair weather when they are scattered in a clear blue sky. Cumulonimbus clouds are dark and seen during a thunderstorm, along with thunder and lightning. We learned a little about the water cycle, too, and how to explain it. We learned where Earth's water is. 96.5%, or most of the water on Earth, is in our oceans. 1.7% is in polar ice caps, glaciers, and permanent snow. Another 1.7% is in lakes, rivers, streams, and soil. 0.001% is in water vapor in Earth's atmosphere. We learned that the water cycle is the path that all water follows as it moves around Earth in different states. Liquid water is found in oceans, rivers, lakes, and even underground. Solid ice is found in glaciers, snow, and at the North and South Poles. Water vapor, a gas, is found in Earth's atmosphere. The first step of the water cycle is evaporation. If you spill a glass of water outside, you will notice that a few hours later, the water is gone. That is because water slowly turns from a liquid into a gas called water vapor. The process of water turning from a liquid into a gas is called evaporation. Step 2 of the water cycle is condensation. Water vapor rises up in the sky due to the sun's heat. Once the water vapor rises high enough, it condenses into water droplets. Condensation is the process of water turning from a gas into a liquid. The third step in the water cycle is precipitation. When water droplets get heavy enough, they fall back down to Earth as rain. We call this precipitation because it can happen in a few different ways. Rain, liquid water, snow, frozen water, and hail, big pieces of frozen water. Precipitation brings the water back down to Earth, and the cycle repeats. The sun shines on the water, and it starts evaporating again. This is why we call it the water cycle. Why is the water cycle important? We care about the water cycle because water is necessary for all living things. This was your review of air and weather before your air and weather assessment. Do your best